Dreamers, I chat to Echo, a rising star playing for DNMK, a top 4 team in the SSA Regional RLCS. Having just completed schooling, he is committing himself to the Rocket League journey. We chat about that journey, his grind, and his huge ambitions. Echo, I think the first question we have to talk about, before we even get into anything fluffy and basics or anything, is we have a regional starting in 2 days. At least at the time of recording, it's in 2 days. And load shedding is going to be with us for the weekend. So how does that impact you or any of your team?
Well, I've checked my schedule and I'm lucky because it's like all the midday morning-ish. So I miss all the load shedding. It doesn't affect me whatsoever. But like Weak Asper, for example, his are splat in the middle, but he's got a generator. So he's kind of off the hook there. Which is kind of how it's always gone. I've always missed it, and he's always splat in the middle, but he has a generator. And then your Pego hasn't, like, we haven't kept being told his times, but if it's based on anything in the past, yikes. Because I remember we played for the Intel World Open, we played during there, and he had load shedding during one of the games, so he actually had to drive to somebody's house just to play in Intel, and then drove back when load shedding ended. So, see how that goes.
Okay, yeah, cool. Well, I wish you luck, and I hate it. It's one of those, oh great, let me deal with this thing we can't control at all. So that's all right, fine. And then anyone listening to this from anywhere in the world that isn't South Africa, I guess I should say, so load shedding is scheduled rotational blackout. So what that means is for periods of time, everybody in the country has the pleasure of having their power cut for 2 to 4 hours a day. And it's all on a schedule. It's very complicated and it's incredibly disruptive, as we're going to discover this weekend. And that's a gift from our corrupt government. But that's another story. So, all right, Echo, well, let's talk about fun stuff, Rocket League. So things, I mean, I've probably, well, I've known you, but, well, I guess known of you probably the last couple of years. So I'm keen to know, well, take me through the journey of Rocket League, how you discovered it and how you find yourself where you are today.
Jeez, that's
a short question with a long answer.
Yeah, that's true. Sure. 2018 is probably when it started. I had never heard of this game, like didn't know anything about this game, and I remember I was at school one day and two of my mates who no longer really play, but they kind of played it casually and were more in the trading aspect of the game, kind of were talking about like, oh, I got a black market or whatever, and I was like, what the heck is that? And then they kind of told me about the game and they were like, oh dude, you should get it, and you know, I was like, yeah, it kind of looks like a stupid game, to be honest. A little bit, I know. Yeah, so then I remember I went to one of those two friends' houses one day, and yeah, the Wi-Fi cut or something, so we played some private matches in Rocket League, and I like flipping loved it. Then I went home, bought it, and I remember that was during a period where I had our household, we didn't have Wi-Fi yet, not as in the Wi-Fi wasn't functioning, we just have never bought it. So like I was living off like 2 gigs of data a month or something. So for the first couple months of my like Rocket League career, I didn't take it seriously. I just played for the hell of it, and I would just play free play for like 2 months straight. I was like, hey, this game's kind of fun. This was on Xbox. I didn't have a PC or anything. You know, I started playing the game more and more. I flew through the ranks pretty quickly. I think it was in like my first like month of playing the game, I was like platinum 1v1s. I don't even know if that's any good or not.
And were you playing local servers, EU servers, a bit of both? I mean, in 1v1 and plat, to me, it doesn't sound like you were finding local game.
Yeah, no, that was EU servers. I kind of queued it. I tried to queue SF at the beginning, and even then the servers were so dead. So I was just like, I'm not serious about the game. I'm just gonna play for the hell of it, play EU, and it turns out I got pretty high on EU servers, at least for the time I played. Kept playing on console for the longest time. You know, I met people. I met some Austrian guys that I still kind of keep in contact with and play with every now and then. And them have like us. We kind of made like a little club, and we played in some tournaments and stuff. We ended up all getting like champ together. And then I joined a team here. Called Grizzly Gaming. This was my first introduction to like competitive Rocket League, and that was
When was that?
Ooh, that was I want to say 2019.
Well,
Maybe.
it's easy. Was it in the before times or post pandemic? It must have been in the before times.
Yeah, I think it was. Honestly, can't remember. It was when I was in grade 10-ish, so it was about
That's
2-3
2 years
years
ago.
ago.
So
Yeah,
that's in the before times. Okay.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah, go
yes.
on.
And they were around diamond-ish. Had literally just gone into champ. We'd always get like knocked out in the first part of a tournament, like an ACGL tournament. But it was good as my teammates were Capricorn Maverick. I don't even know if he still
That's
plays.
where I remember you from, Echo, because I used
Yes,
to cast a lot of those ACGL games, and I
I think
remember you
that's
from there.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's where I first heard about you, and I was like, "Get it
Okay.
off, one. What kind of a name?" And then,
No.
it came to be. And then I had another teammate called Rob Dutch Monkey, and he changed his name to like Squidgy Puffins or something as like a joke, as in like Squishy Muffins, like spin off.
Yes.
And it was just we were like bossing around, and it stuck. He still plays by that name.
And I've played him. I recognize that name. Yeah.
And him and then there was another guy. He was our like stand-in sub at the time. He wasn't really in the team. His name was Thevo. Him and Squidgy like still play, and I remember I hopped into a call the other day with them, and we hadn't spoken in a while. They're like, "Oh, you sound like a man now," because back then my voice was. Yeah, and we caught up, and it was good. But yeah,
And
kind of going back on track. Yeah.
What was the motivation for you to play competitive? Because I don't have that nature myself. Where I've played Rocket League a long time. I love the game, but it's just not part of my thing to like. Oh, I want to join a team and play competitively.
Yeah.
So what was the motivation for you to get into a competitive scene?
I didn't actually have any at the beginning. It was kind of like, I played the game for fun, and people were like, "Oh wait, you're actually pretty good at this game."
Okay.
So then I kind of just kept like I started entering tournaments and stuff. And at that point, again, no like drive to go pro or anything. I was just playing for fun. And then Altruism,
Yeah.
he had come to my school, my high school. He's a science teacher there. And him and I kind of met, and he told me a little more about the competitive scene, and in South Africa at least, and about how he wants to go kind of get somewhere in casting. And I was like, oh, cool. So him and I kind of got through the whole scene together. And then I started watching RLCS like EU and NA, and I kind of realized, holy shit, this is like, I want to be this, I want to play for like 10 hours a day and get paid for it and just be the best. So yeah, then people kind of started telling me like, you've actually got potential in this game. And obviously when I told my parents I kind of want to focus on Rocket League and kind of go pro, they were like, them not being very familiar with like technology and esports. So throughout my high school career, that was kind of a like losing battle, like fighting them to kind of play the whole time. And eventually I kind of got around to them once I started earning money and like I joined RLCS in South Africa.
And are they and forgive the question, and are they old parents or young parents?
They're, in terms of physical age, they're like 50s, 60s, so they're like mid-ish, but they're very old-fashioned in the sense that technology is completely foreign, and for them it's like you need a 9-to-5 job, kind of. So my backup plan is like criminal law, somewhere like that. Hopefully Rocket League works out, but yeah. And then I remember, like in prize givings at school, I had never really gotten anything because I'm like, I keep being told I'm smart, but I'm lazy. Like my marks were average like 70s-ish because I just never tried, and I focused on Rocket League, so I never got any awards. And then I remember for the matric prize giving, it's called the Halstead Trophy from our school, and it's for like extracurricular excellence or something. And our principal or deputy head, who again is also not very familiar with esports, reads out like this young man is like top 1% for esports or something, and he calls out my name, and I'm like, what the heck? So yeah, I got a prize for that, and I don't know, it's just I kind of slowly started to want to go pro. But I'm by no means there. Like for my hours are like pretty low considering where I'm at. I think they're like just past 2,000 or something.
Okay.
And I've only honestly, I was in the competitive scene, like you said, you know, when you first sort of heard of me, that's when I was only like really aware of the competitive scene, but I was never really into it. And I
Yes.
only really started getting into it when I joined Atomic. Um, I remember
Okay.
yeah.
Gonna go ahead. Finish that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I kind of like I remember one day like watching We Casper. I saw his link in one of the like Metal State channels, and I was like, oh, you know, they look like an interesting team. They look like they're actually pretty um involved in the competitive scene. So I messaged We Casper on his stream or on Discord or something, and then him and I kind of got to chatting, and then I ended up doing some like trial with him and Yopego, and they had kind of found my YouTube channel, and like because I've got YouTube, it's a small YouTube channel, and it's kind of got some montages from when I was kind of lower like platinum or like diamond-ish. Completely forgot about that channel, to be honest. And they saw those videos, and them being like GC level at that time, you know, saw these montages. I'm like, holy shit, he's pretty good.
Okay.
Even though that was like when I was like diamond, maybe low champ was a push. So then did the trial, eventually joined. Obviously I joined 2 players that are significantly better than me, and I started improving quite a bit. So it was a pretty like, it was a long battle to like where we are now.
All right. Well, I want to break that down. So if you take me through last year, early last year, mid last year, I mean, what was your plan competitively? Because we didn't have a fantastic scene outside of the occasional tournament here and there, and VS was doing stuff last year. But so what was your? Did you have a plan pre RLCS arriving out of the blue?
Definitely. It's still pretty much the plan. Long story short, I went to a German primary school. My mom's German. My mom's side is German. So through her, I went to German primary school. Now I speak fluent German now. And
das ist gut.
Das ist fine. I was about to say baie good Afrikaans.
Okay.
Same language. It's confusing, but anyway. Yeah, so there were kind of these courses that you'd attend in high school at that primary school, and you know, if you passed at a certain level, you'd basically get the chance to study in Germany. I want to say for free, but I think it's just extremely cheap because Germany
subsidized.
Germany's very focused on their like students, but with this German like certificate, I can get into university pretty like effortlessly.
Okay.
So my parents' plan was I go study in Germany for whatever I want to study. And my plan behind their plan was, cool, I can join EU Rocket League and kind of go pro there, or like at least try.
Yes.
So I was chatting to Snowy the other day, and you know, with his experience in the scene, it's pretty flippin' difficult overseas. I don't doubt that, but I'm still gonna try because I may as well.
No, absolutely. I think it's not so much. It's hard. Only I had a long conversation last week with a German bubble player, and we went into some detail on the struggle in the bubble scene there, and it's just really it's just that, you know, in South Africa, because we're small and still developing, there's not too many of us, but in Europe it's a little cluttered, and the support below the very top scene is not fabulous. It's not kind of supporting that, so I think that's the only reason it's a struggle. I mean, it's certainly possible.
Yeah, no, definitely. So yeah, the plan was end of matric, like towards the end of this year, end of this year. I'm gonna go overseas anyway. I'm gonna go. Now it's a case of I don't know where, because there was some post a while ago on Twitter from an American university called King University, and they had been kind of looking for 2 high-ish level players to join college overseas on a Rocket League scholarship, and Ultrism had kind of like atted me and was like, you know, he would be a good addition or something like that. So I messaged the guy, and him and I kind of got to chatting, and from what it seems, there's potential for me to get a scholarship to America. Yeah, there was a chance. Like, from what it seemed like, it looks like it's going well. We're actually gonna have a meeting at like 2 in the morning tomorrow, because of time zones, about kind of like what's gonna happen. Because from what it seems like, it's quite good. And I mean, that university, their previous players all went to E United, which is an American team.
Okay.
In an RLCS environment, so I have potential to actually get into NA RLCS.
Okay.
But I don't know if I'm actually gonna go because the time zones are different, and like leaving South Africa, where I've got like my girlfriend, friends, family, and stuff. It's big difference time zone wise, whereas like Europe, like Germany, the UK is pretty much the same time zone, and I know the UK and I know Germany.
Yes.
So I'd need one hell of a deal for me to actually, you know, take a leap of faith and go to the UK, the US. But yeah.
So
yeah.
would it be accurate then to say that the plan immediately then is continue playing here, grinding, getting better, and then while looking for options, and then if something good, if an opportunity comes up, you go and pursue that?
Yeah. I think towards the end of the year, we are going to go overseas to study. But in terms of Rocket League, for the next like 6 months, I'm going to be in South Africa literally playing Rocket League, and no work, nothing, just playing Rocket League, which is why I've been able to put so many hours into the game. And then, yeah, if I get an opportunity that isn't in Europe or in Germany more specifically, I'd maybe go there if it's very Rocket League oriented, because right now my Rocket League is my focus over university, and my parents are like kind of on board with that because I can always go study afterwards.
All right, well I'd like to explore that just for a second. So how did you get your parents to finally get on board?
That was a struggle. For the first like few years, it was basically school came first, which is fair. I was grade 11 matric, you know, fair enough. And it got past that, and I kind of played on weekends, and it wasn't ever really big tournaments. It was all, when I say like compared to RLCS, like, you know, there was ACGL, Medal State, stuff like that. Even the Intel World Open, that was something, because, you know, I remember skipping a school day to play in that, and getting messages from my friends where they're like watching it on like the smart board in math class, like watching us play. So it was cool. And that's kind of when I realized, like, you know, there's actually, even in a environment where people aren't into Rocket League, like it's my classmates, I don't give a damn about video games, you know.
Yes.
And they were interested, so it just like kind of tells me that Rocket League's gonna be massive soon. And I kind of slowly got my parents on board. I started making them watch tournaments and like my games, and they were like, okay, you know, he's got potential. And then I got that award at school that my parents were there for, and they were like, okay, getting like recognition outside of Rocket League for that. Then RLCS came around, and, you know, the first split we didn't do great, but I got a decent amount of money. I was able to buy a completely new and pretty good PC. And I think that was kind of the kick for my parents, that, okay, even in a smaller region like South Africa, you can make decent money. And like now I like to call DNMK a top 4 team.
Yes.
So that's like, we're not even at the top, and we're in a smaller region, and we're not doing badly. And, you know, this whole like me being contacted or in contact with like universities in Europe and in America, and just knowing people in like the more competitive scene, my parents are kind of like, you know what, we'll support it. You've done high school, you've passed, you've got everything you need. Now you can focus on Rocket League for a while, and then after that you can go back to uni and stuff like that. Yeah.
So do you have siblings?
Not immediate. I've got a stepbrother, but other than that, it's just me.
Okay, cool. And all right, well, now let's come to the grind, because you've now finished school. It was your last year of high school last year, am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so because I've spoken to a couple of the other players like To Die For, and it's a struggle, because he's still at school, and seems like he's got a fairly demanding outside of Rocket League schedule. So it's tough, and it must be like a very different now, where you can now just focus on this thing. So I'm interested to know about how that has changed your approach to the game, having well, firstly the attention and the time to focus on it.
Well, I'm gonna kind of start towards the end, like finals and matric. It was pretty much, I played on weekends only. And it was kind of the same for quite a lot of my high school, like grade 11, grade grade 12. I wouldn't play during the week, and then I'd play Friday, Saturday, and a bit of Sunday, and then that'd be it. And in that period, when I played, I played ranked, and I'd essentially try to keep and go up in rank for the weekend, and then I'd be happy for the week. You know, it was really, I wasn't grinding, I was just playing.
Yes.
Past matric, everything goes well. Now I'm like, oh flip, I can play a lot now. So I'm literally like, I'll wake up, I'll kind of do what I have to do. We'll have team training, and then I'll actually work on specific mechanics. You know, I'll watch replays, I'll watch pros, I'll work on literal things, like tiny things like my kickoff or like my half flip consistency, stuff as little as that. And I'm able to play like 10 hours a day, 10 hours plus. And, you know, I've gone, I've improved quite a bit.
Okay.
Like, it makes a difference. It's a big difference when you're out of school.
And have you, and have you, because I want to talk about what you're actually doing. You're talking 10 hours a day. I'm keen to know, A, what you're doing in those 10 hours, and you've said a little bit. I mean, do you have a schedule, a plan, and have you taken guidance from anyone on how to train for Rocket League to get better at the level you're aspiring to? Or has it just sort of come from videos, or so what is your program, and how have you decided on that program?
Well, I'm somebody who's very bad with like procrastination, so I kind of, when school finished, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have a schedule. I'm gonna have like an hour by hour schedule of like training and what exactly I'm gonna train. And in my head, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be like the next Squishy in like 2 months' time. Then reality hit me, and I'm like, cool. I wake up at like 10 o'clock, and then I go to bed at like 3 in the morning, and I play when I feel like it. And it's still a lot of playing, but there's no structure. Like one day I'll play for 4 hours in the morning, the other day I'll play at like, I'll only start playing at 1 or something.
Okay.
So I'm very much like working, and it's gotten a lot better. But you know, after, okay, this moving has obviously made things difficult, but once I've kind of settled down, which will be by like next week Tuesday, I've very much started making steps towards having a proper schedule. And you know, I've watched Thanovic, how you pronounce his videos on like the best way, like guides to improving, like actual things to work on. I watch a lot of those kind of videos.
Okay.
I've chatted to the team in King University in America, because they're all like 2100, you know, SSLs, they're pro level.
Yes.
And I've kind of chatted to them about what they do, and I've kind of like sat in a call and like, you know, done stuff with them.
Okay.
Then we've obviously, okay, so DNMK as a team, we don't actually have a coach right now. I don't know how like confidential that is, but we don't have a coach right now. We have gotten as far as we have without a coach. Like there's no coaching contract. We'd buy a session using our own money kind of thing, and you know, I just write down everything that coach says, and I take notes. Like even when I play 1v1s, which I haven't done for a long time, but if I play, or even any game and I watch a replay, I have a file full of notes of stuff taken on specific players, play styles, stuff I'm doing wrong, like really going back to school and studying kind of thing.
Okay, and how much time are you guys spending together as a team in terms of working on the team dynamic? Because and it was a question I thought of during the last regional. Because that's a massive element. You know, you can be individually good, but as a team, you kind of haven't figured out your dynamic and how to work together and stuff. So I don't know how much time goes into that.
I think up until the last regional, we were pretty slack, as in we play like 1 or 2 hours a day together. I know that doesn't sound slack, but it was just like autopilot playing ranked. There wasn't anything special. And after this regional, where we did pretty well, and then we kind of flopped at the end, we were like, okay, we can do something with this, but we actually need to put in work, and we need to start trying. So now we'll train like 2 to 4 hours a day, but it's like proper, basically RLCS level sweating in training. Okay. So we'll play EU ranked for the first like 2 hours, and then we'll do scrims at night, and it's literally sweat all the time. So I'd say we probably average on 3 hours team training a day, and then we take like a couple of days off a week.
Okay.
But yeah, we've really, like recently, we've actually started to try in terms of team training.
All right, good. So now let's talk about ambitions and where you'd like to be. First and foremost, DNMK, are you happy with your results so far? You said, you know, you're calling yourselves a top 4 team, and I think I do think that's accurate. I do think places 3 to 5 now with Royalty is keen to see how it plays out this coming weekend. But are you happy with where you are, and where do you plan to be by the end of the 3rd split?
Yeah, I'd say I'm pretty happy with. Well, I'm as happy as I can be, because I'm somebody who is never happy with my performance and my team's performance in the sense that I always want to be better. You know, we can come first and I'll still not be happy with like how I played or something like that. But as like realistically speaking, as a normal human being, I'm pretty happy with our performance in terms of statistic ranking, as in like we'll come fourth or we'll come third or something. Like it's for the amount of effort we put in, it's fair, you know. In terms of like our actual like how we play in game, I think there's obviously a lot of work to be done, which we started to work on. So kind of like a month or two ago, I would have, if you'd asked me the same question, I'd say no, I'm not very happy, just because, you know, we're placing low and we weren't trying. So I'm like, you know, what am I doing in this team? I'm wasting my time. But I think we've kind of all realized we want to be somewhere, we want to do something. Okay. So we've really started trying, and now I'm pretty happy with where we place. It hasn't really changed, but it's more where we're going. You know, we're really, after seeing those blue titles that like Bravado and like XD got, we were like, ooh, we kind of want those. So I don't know how long it's going to take, but we obviously are kind of fighting to be at the top, maybe either like second place maybe, or challenging XD. Obviously I have no idea how long that's going to take, but you know, I could go the easy route and say that every other team says we want to be the best in the country by the end of the like third regional. But I'd say probably contesting second, at the very worst third.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, good. That makes sense. Now, I'm interested to know the one thing I do think we lack here, and maybe there isn't the audience for it yet, I'm not sure, are local pro content creators. And you've mentioned your YouTube channel. So I don't know if there's any, I mean, it adds a whole, it's like a whole, you know, extra workload really to be a creator, because now you got to be thinking about content and making that content. But does that form any part of long-term plans in your Rocket League journey?
At the beginning, before I realized how much work Rocket League kind of is going to take if I want to get somewhere, I was like, oh, I'll do content creation and play the game at the same time. You know, I'll be one of those guys that's good at the game and it has a big channel. Then I realized that Rocket League is going to take so much time, and I haven't uploaded in months. Like my last video was so long ago, and it was literally just me playing twos or something. Okay. And I don't have that kind of discipline to be able to do both. So kind of my plan for the time being is just get like flipping good at the game, and then once I'm at a level where I'm not trying to play double the hours of pros to get to their level, I'll kind of upload videos at the same time. Okay. That way I've kind of already got a following from being good at the game. You know, for example, like Justin, for example, he did not make YouTube videos. People realized, you know, this guy's insane. He made he made a channel and he got like 60,000 followers off the bat.
Yes.
So, you know, like ideally that's what the plan, you know, I go pro, I am pro first. Then once I kind of retire, I'll go into content creation. I essentially want to be in the content creation scene for a while after pro, whether that's playing Rocket League or playing other games.
All right, fine. And then I know we did some casting together, or some, at least you were on the BS Gaming broadcast. Does that hold an interest for you, like post a career, getting into that sort of thing, maybe?
Actually, I had this conversation with my dad a while ago about how he was kind of adamant that I could go into a career that's in the esports scene, like manager or caster or something like that. And you know, I'm pretty set on actually playing pro right now.
Fair enough.
But I was actually thinking, you know, maybe I can go to casting after the pro scene, which is actually, I can see that being a possibility once I'm done. But right now, for example, even in that, when I was casting that tournament alongside you guys, I'd be watching and I'd be like, no, I need to play the game. Like whenever I watch a YouTube video, I never finish it. I never finish the video. Like in the first 5 minutes, I'm on the game playing, and I don't have that kind of desire to cast. Like for example, when you cast, you have so much energy and stuff, and you're invested in the game. I can't be invested in the game and not want to play it. And I feel like you need to be able to kind of split those two interests to be able to cast. So
but listen, well, then we're probably opposite in that I am invested in the game. I'm just very realistic about what the game is gonna do for me. But casting I can do. Okay, great. So, all right. So now I'm gonna at the end, I'm gonna ask you the questions I normally ask at the beginning, just general things. So, where do you live?
I live in Durban.
Hot, sweaty Durban.
Yep.
And Echo, is there an interesting story behind the name, or was it
This
just
is a
something you thought?
So there's a bit of a story behind this. So I first started on Xbox, and it gives you that really crappy preloaded like randomized gamer tag, and I think my gamer tag back then was like Pocket Dragon 28 or something.
Okay.
And that's stuck for like 6 years until I actually moved to PC, and then I kind of messed around with gamer tags because I wanted something different, something kind of more modern. So then I skipped around to like Sneaky Salmon or something retarded like that, and then there was Meerkat Snot, that was another one. And then watching like the pro scene, you realize all the pros have like really short names, like Atomic, Justin,
Yes.
Garrett, stuff like that. So I was like, yeah, I need a short name, and then I spent like months just umming and ahhing on different words, names, stuff. I like went on like some random word generator stuff like that, and then I don't know, something just reminded me of my grandpa because he was a ship captain.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's the phonetic alphabet, like the Alpha, Bravo, Charlie,
Yes.
stuff like that, and
Echo,
Echo's in there. And I was like,
absolutely,
okay,
yeah.
that sounds pretty cool. So I guess in the short answer, it's probably directly tied to like my grandpa and like ship, like captain stuff like that, because I'm quite a fan of all that stuff.
Okay. Fabulous.
So that's yeah.
All right, cool. And you've said you've done 2,000 hours in the game, there or thereabout?
It's probably a little more than, but last time I checked, like a couple of days ago, it's probably around 2,000. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And how old are you?
I'm 18.
And are you? So does that mean you're 19 this year?
Yeah, 19 in August.
Okay, cool. All right, and you're on. So you came from Xbox, moved to PC, and I'm assuming you're a controller player.
Yeah, that's true. I started on I stayed on an Xbox controller for a while when I made the switch because I was like, okay, I've already changed consoles. I need to keep something.
Yes.
And then my controllers were breaking. Like in 3 months, I'd get a new controller, and I was like, surely it's just Xbox that's crap.
Yes.
So then I watched a bunch of videos like what's actually better for Rocket League, with the PlayStation controllers or Xbox controllers, and a lot of pros use PlayStation controllers. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And at that time, PS5 had just come out, but all the pros were using PS4, and I was like, I may as well just try the PS5 controller out. So I tried that out, and I've never looked back since.
Okay.
It took some time to adjust, but yeah.
No, it's amazing how it does, but that's awesome. Okay, PS5 controller. All right, and then the question. It's becoming a bit of an old question now, but I might as well ask it since I've asked everybody. Your Rule 1 preference, your view on Rule 1.
Oh, I used to be a religious Rule 1 player, when I'd be like, oh, especially on EU, I'm like, okay, I've got 200 ping, and I've just, in a Rule 1 was like, dude, on 30, I may as well just sacrifice myself for my teammates. So for a while, I stuck with that, but, as I got super serious about the game, and whenever I lose a game, I flip and lose it. Like, I don't like losing, which is not great, but it's just a part of me, especially now, because I just want to get my rank up. I'm sick of being stuck in, like, GC1, almost GC2. So whenever I kind of get into a Rule 1 now, if it just starts before anybody can like point fingers, I'll flip and break it. At least in an overtime. At the beginning of the game, I'll stay. If I'm in a good mood, almost I'll stay. But the second you put money on the line in RLCS, not a chance. I'm breaking that because the second there's like thousands on the line, I'm gonna break it.
Okay.
So
that makes sense, and I think generally the world's coming around to that. All right. Well, I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up, Echo. So you got a big weekend coming up. We're in the middle of the winter split as you cook in Durban in the middle of winter. Second regional coming up, and then I guess it's going to be the spring split after that. So good luck with that, and thanks for taking some time out of your grindy 10 hours a day of Rocket League to come and chat and at least give us some sense of who you are and what you're about.
No, it's good anytime.
Sweet. Thanks, man.